Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about 6.7 British tank RB lineups. We're in the Stridsvagn 81. So yeah, basically a Centurion Mark III, but a premium. It's a Swedish variant fitted with 3 early anti-tank missiles. You have to guide them in using the WASD keys. You can cheese it a little bit by, if an enemy's not moving, you can just aim at them and fire and it'll go to where you initially aimed. As you can see, we've pushed down the middle of the map. This is quite risky for us. It is playing into the strength of the Germans. You can see it's a wide open range there. Plenty of spots for Germans to be hiding with the long range guns. But we've got a King Tiger with side on. It's an easy kill for us. Do manage to detonate his ammo rack. As you can see, that was a one-shot kill for us, which is quite irregular for a British tank. The solid shot and APCR rounds, they don't have any explosive filler, so one-shot kills are pretty rare. Unless you can manage to knock out the majority of the crew with a nice if you can shoot pretty much at the upper glacis of most German tanks, you can knock out quite a good few amount of the crew, but it's quite hard. So 6.7 British, they consist mainly of either prototypes or variants of the either early Centurions or the prototypes for the Conqueror. It's like the Carnarvon and the FV4202. It's a bit they basically all have the same gun, the 84mm, and they all pretty much have the same armour and mobility. All medium tanks, which isn't unnecessarily a bad thing. It just leaves something to be desired in terms of variety, and you basically play them all the same, really. So we're doing some long range shooting. The APCR, as I mentioned, this tank has 285mm of penetration at 10 meters, as well as a muzzle velocity of 1,400 meters per second, which does make it very ideal for long range shooting. It's easy to lead and you don't really have to compensate for muzzle drop that much. Or not muzzle drop, sorry, for projectile drop. Which does mean we can penetrate these pretty well armoured German tanks from quite a while away. Quite a way away, sorry, but yeah, I'm English, I'm speaking like I'm uneducated. But I decided that it's pretty clear here, so we're going to push a little bit more forward. We're on the Poland map. It's one of the nicest maps in the game. I don't know what game mode this is called, but it's where you have 2 caps. You have a hut friendly capture for each team, and if you cap the enemy cap, then it releases tickets very fast. Another strength of the British vehicles is 6.7, especially the Centurion, is you have a gun stabiliser, which means at slow speed like that previous shot you could see we were moving, but we still had a very accurate gun, aiming reticle. You do have a stabiliser on this tank, which is very nice. It means you can engage at slow speed, you can engage pretty accurately at long range. As you can see, we're going to push out a little bit now and try and get these tanks as they try and push ahead. This is going to go badly for us because my recording software breaks here and I have to tab out, which ends up in us getting killed. So I do apologise for that. Basically all that happened was that Tiger 2 put a round straight through my chassis really. And that is the problem with pretty much all the 6.7 British medium tanks, and even this Carnarvon, the heavy tank, which isn't really a heavy tank, but it got pretty terrible armour all round really. You do have quite a good mantling of the gun, but it's nothing, especially at short range. Getting in close scrappy fights is nothing you can do to stop a German gun. You can't angle, you can't really waggle. But as you can see, this is a complete up tier to 7.7. Got a MiG-9, obviously. We're in a Spitfire Mark 24 here, facing jets. fairly common to see up tiers, which does annoy me a little bit, especially when I have a complete lineup of 6.7. But luckily for us at the minute, there aren't any German fighters up. There'll be a German bomber shortly. But Aviation in British 6.7, this is the only plane you have. This is the only 6.7 Britain has. It is a good plane though. It's obviously a 6.7 Spitfire Mark 24. It's the last variant of the Spitfire that was ever produced. It is a belter of a plane, but in terms of close air support, it's pretty terrible. You do have access to 8 RP3 rockets, which means 4 salvos with 2 rockets, which is pretty decent if you know how to use the rockets. They are pretty powerful, but this plane's more suited to a closer support role. Now the other plane that Britain, well, the issue is Britain doesn't really have access to any other planes that are usable in a ground attack role. You do have the Wyvern, which we'll see later on, but that's a 5.0 battle rating. You don't really have any other plane at 6.7 or close to 6.7 that's suitable for ground strike. Arguably it is the same for the German team. They don't really have any 6.7, well, they don't have any 6.7s apart from the ME262 50mm narwhal. You don't have any ground attackers apart from the Focke-Wulfs with the, I think the Focke-Wulfs can carry a few thousand, well, they can carry 1,000 kilogram bomb and then a few 50 kilograms if I'm not mistaken. But you could say it's fair enough if it was Britain versus Germany, but you have the Russians, which have the good ground attackers. Can't remember the name, I think it's SU something. Got 37mm cannon, he carried quite a lot of rockets, so pretty decent. Germans do get the Arado at 6.7, which is pretty potent. Mainly because I can't catch him whatsoever. But the biggest advantage Germany has over Britain is SPA. Without a doubt, Britain doesn't have any SPA at 6.7 or 5.7. The only thing Britain has is a 4.7 SPA and then a 7.7 SPA. The 4.7 SPA is basically a slow firing, I can't remember, it's 57mm or 47mm gun, but it's pretty hard to target for shooting. You can't really lead against many points, especially against fast moving jets. But we managed to kill the Arado by following back to base. I don't have any issues whatsoever killing an Arado with his landing. Very dangerous playing against my team. But we're going to die here. I was just trying to get some more spotting points for my team. As you can see, Kugel Blitz just takes me out without an issue. Wasn't a hard shot, I was flying pretty much straight at him, but we're going to take out our Charioteer, which I'd say is my second favourite tank in this lineup. You do have the same 84mm gun as we had on the Centurion earlier on in the video, 285mm of PEM. You can only take, well, I choose only to take the APCR in this. You can take a full ammo load in this really, you don't have any ammo whatsoever, so if you get hit you're dying, doesn't really matter if they take out your ammo rack or not. But go back to the ammo types of Britain, because you can see we're currently using the APCR. The other shot that we did have, I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically a solid shot. And what's the difference between the two? Well, the APCR, it's got very high muzzle velocity and very high penetration. But once that round penetrates an enemy tank, it does limited damage to the internals, basically because it's just a big arrow going through something. Now you could be asking yourself, oh well, modern tanks today use dart arrows, use SAKO rounds, or kinetic energy penetrators. They're pretty much the same thing, but these early rounds didn't have the same muzzle velocity, they didn't have the sheer brute force or weight, as well as the think it'd be velocity if I'm right. They didn't have the mass as well as the speed to do just that much absolute carnage. They are pretty fast, 1,400 meters per second like I said, but they're not going to tear a tank in half. Now the solid shot that you do get access to, I'm not carrying it at the minute, I'm not sure why. You have less penetration, I think it's 230 mils of penetration at 10 mil. You have a lot less muzzle velocity, and your penetration sharply drops off after a few hundred meters just because of how much heavier and less aerodynamic the shell is. But it does have better post-penetration effects. Now here, Tiger 2, put a shot straight through his driver's compartment, just take out him and his gunner. If he was looking directly at us, we'd want to shoot him in the right side of his turret. This takes out his gunner and his commander. But because his turret was turned towards us, I decided that his driver's compartment was better. Me and my friendly could have shot him if he managed to kill me. Luckily you did see that we managed to take out both his driver and gunner by shooting just below the top of his glacis. Managed to stay knock out like, I think the round hits like the feet of the gunner. But we're going to get hit by close air support in a second. We're not going to die, we're going to repair. I think that was a Focke-Wulf, either F8 or A8, something like that. The two, I think it's 6-inch mortars it carries, or 3-inch mortars. Sorry, I'm not too sure what it was. But it's one of the few German planes that actually gets CAS, or the ability to perform close air support pretty decently. Now there is a Kugel Blitz just down that road. The enemy team and my friendly team are engaging down the long road, which is usually is the heavy tanker stomping grounds. I'm immobilised at the minute for another 8 seconds. We're going to get some sexy flank action going. I'm not too sure what hit me there. I think it was still the plane. It did sound a lot meatier though than a plane round, but so that Tiger 2 is already dead. That's the one that we got a kill assist on before. Here we're going to sneak up on a Kugel Blitz. Or a Wirbelwind, sorry. Just as toxic in my opinion, but we've blunted the spearhead of their attack through the city now. Our capture site of A is safe-ish. We managed to force them back a little bit. Now I think this right hand side of the town is safe. There's a few enemies on the left hand side still, which we're going to engage them shortly. But we've got a few enemies on the left hand side of the town, so we're going to go and find them. Now my friendly is going to die here. You can see on the map that there's a red pinging. He's found the tank destroyer. I only just realised it here in game. AMX-13 gets killed by the Jagdpanzer 4.5. Now the Charioteer, it's got good mobility. You get the same 84mm gun, as I've mentioned a few times now. It's basically it is a tank destroyer, so you have the tank destroyer spawning cost, but you have the mobility of a light tank and the gun of a medium tank, so it is a very good tank. As well as the speed and mobility of a light tank, you do have the armour of a light tank. So this was a little bit scary. He managed to kill me in a single shot though, which was pretty nice. He definitely has a very good, I think he has a heat shell, which would just fucking destroy me. But we're going to push down this left hand flank. It's the same flank we went down at the beginning of the match. Now we're Centurion, or Struxwagen. We're going to find ourselves a big juicy Tiger 2. Tiger 2 is very good at long range and medium range, but against a little speedy tank like this, you can get around it. It's pretty good adversary. So we try and take out his well, we try and kill him. We do manage to take out his gunner, commander, turret ring, turret drive. It's a pretty it's pretty much screwed. The only way you can fix him is a 40-second reload. But he's popped a shit ton of smoke and completely invisible, which I don't think is particularly realistic. He's literally a few inches in front of me and I'm completely invisible. I don't think that's how it works, but put a shot into the rear of his turret, not by skill, but pure luck. Do manage to take out his ammo stowage. Now we've completely blunted the enemy attack into the town, so all the enemies are respawning again. So we're back in pretty much the same spot as we were at the start of the game, taking shots into the enemies as they come. It's a little bit of a cheap tactic. There's nowhere for the enemies to hide here, but it's the exact same thing for us if we'd lost the town. So I'm struggling to find this Traeger. I'm basically shooting him in the same spot multiple times, so I'm not doing any damage to him. Now I decided to take that Waffenträger out first there, just because he has the biggest gun. Well, he doesn't actually. The Jagdtiger has the biggest gun, but I wasn't really paying attention. Now I accidentally fired there as I come out of the gunner view, which gave my position away. Now this is completely stupid. I'm reversing out in front of a Tiger 2 gun. Obviously I'm going to die here. I feel like when I played this game I actually shot the gun there, but it didn't fire. Maybe a little bit of ping, or I just got fucked by Guardian. But we're going to take out our Wyvern, carrying the 2 1,000-pound bombs. In chat they're talking about walking someone's dog, I'm not sure what's happening. But the Wyvern, it's pretty fast at 5.0, but 6.7 it's a bit slow. It's got pretty bad energy retention, so you can't really do any target maneuvers. If an enemy gets on your 6 and it's even anything remotely like a fighter, he'll just be dead. Nothing really you can do. Like I said, we're carrying 3 1,000-pound bombs. You can drop these in 2 runs, so you drop 2 on the outer wing first, and you drop the centre bomb later on. So essentially you drop 2,000 pounds worth of bombs and you drop a single 1,000 pounds worth of bombs. It's pretty decent. Now we drop on that Tiger 2, I thought he was already dead, so I thought I'd wasted them. Turns out he was still alive. Possibly a kill steal there, but it's a dead Tiger 2, I've got no issue with that. Now I extended a little bit. I didn't want the SBA camping their spawn to get them. Now, you're probably asking why I'm going for those tanks that I've just spawned in the nice and open. First of all, it would be a bit cheap. Second of all, they probably still have the spawn protection. So we drop a bomb on that Jagdtiger. He's probably the hardest thing for our team to kill, especially when he's on that hill. There's nowhere my enemies would have been able to kill him. My friendlies would have been able to effectively kill him, having to shoot up at his strong casemate. So we're out of bombs at the minute. But as you can see, we still have over 1,100 cannon rounds. These are the 20mm Mark 5 Spanos. Just a shit posting in chat, but a bit of a meme. You can spot for your friendlies pretty well. You don't really have the penetration to actually do any damage with these guns, apart from scare the enemies, make them hesitate. But this is going to be the last plane we fly out today. We're not going to respawn in anything else. And there's not really going to be much action, apart from me just flying around and shooting shit. But I think the biggest weaknesses that Britain has at 6.7 is a lack of variety, as well as a lack of an SPAA. Arguably, the lack of a ground attacker, especially when the Americans get like the 84 and the A2D1s, they've got a designated ground attack aircraft. I'm not sure if Britain did have a designated ground attack aircraft in World War II, but quite key aspects of the modern meta of War Thunder are lacking in the British tree. It'd be nice to have a... Well, this Wyvern you can take out 16 after 3s, which does make it quite a good cast plane, but there's not really any other planes that you can do that sort of stuff with. The lack of a decent SBA I think is a massive hindrance. The Germans get so many good SBAs that it's frankly laughable. Here we do a little bit of baiting baited that flak panzer 3-4 to shoot at me, which meant my IS-6 would kill it. Not that the IS-6 would have a problem killing a flak panzer, but it's still a nice bait. Now, the last two tanks that are going to spawn in, it's going to be a Jag Tiger and a Ferdinand or an Elephant, and we're going to struggle to kill them. It's an IS-6, he's got very good armour, but his gun's a little bit lacking in penetration, especially at long range. And it's essentially, my team are essentially just sat in the open trying to shoot, which is pretty retarded, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Especially against two long range tank destroyers. I'm going to type in chat shortly just to cap. All we need to win is just to cap that viewpoint. I think the IS-6 does fall back and try to implement it. The IS-6 does manage to set the engine on fire with the Elephant, but that Jag Tiger's going to be a real issue for an IS-6. Nothing really you can do. But the real thing about Warframe is whether I enjoy playing 6.7 British, and it's a little bit hit and miss. You do have good penetration, which means you can be competitive in terms of guns. Up to a full up tier of 7.7, you can penetrate pretty much anything as long as they are angled. If you're against an IS-6 on an enemy team, it's a bit of an issue just because of how sloped his armour is. The APCR, it's pretty decent on 30mm sloping, but the high sloping of the IS-6 is something to be desired. Front slopes of like T-44 for example, they're a bit tricky. I'd say the biggest issue really is the jump from 6.7 to 7.0. Like the Centurion Mark 10, the Vickers tank, they all have 105 nils with very high pen, and they have Hesh as well, which is really handy. I think maybe some of those tanks should be brought down to 6.7. It'd increase the variety, as well as making them a bit more competitive. You could have in a Hesh round against some of these early German tanks, or late German tanks, sorry, especially like the Jag Tiger. But this video was a little bit incoherent, a little bit of a mess, but I feel like people neglect the British, but hope you got something from this video. I'm going to be playing a bit more of tanks, try and get back into it, and I hope you enjoyed it.